Hello and welcome back. I'm Nicole, a cottage witch, and today is the rest of my wrap up. So I did the bookish part because I had just way too many of them. And I'm going to do a deck study separately because I did a lot of that. But I did do a little bit of other tarot things and a little bit of herbalism things. So that's what this video is about. I'll put timestamps if I remember, if you want to skip to the tarot-y bits. But I went foraging yesterday. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday. Honestly, I have no sense of time. And I went out to get some juniper because I want to try the Scottish method of water sanding with juniper. And I've got some rose water because rose is one of my protector plants for the purpose. So I'm going to try that. But then I came back with all sorts of things, and I'll put a couple pictures in also if I remember. But I put the spruce tips in brown sugar already, so you can see it's pulling some of the moisture out of the sugar already and getting a bit syrupy at the bottom. And I'll have to keep an eye and just make sure that the sugar always covers the spruce tips, otherwise I think you can get mold, which is lovely. But these will sit just on the shelf, probably in the sun actually, and just feel very nice and summery and turn into syrup over the next month. So I got a whole bunch of spruce tips, and then I got a few baby spruce cones. I don't know if you can see them through the glass or if it's just all glare. Yeah, there we go. So some baby spruce cones, same thing. The brown sugar is starting to pull the spruce cones, the moisture is starting to sort of mess with the sugar, which it's supposed to do. Yeah, it's still covered. It's okay. And then I got some horsetail, which is all dried, mostly dried. It's in this bowl because I just want to make sure it's like extra dry before I put it away in a jar for tea. And on that note, I used some of it in some nettle and lemon balm because I got my first lemon balm harvest already, which is wild, but it's gone bananas, and made some iced tea, which is really lovely, actually, really refreshing. It's very light, but it's very refreshing. I enjoy it. Is that all my foraging bits? I think that's, oh, and I almost forgot. Immediately before sitting down to do this, I pulled some apple blossoms off the tree. I washed them, so they're still a bit wet. But you know, I had to get the aphids out because there were a couple of those. And that's, I don't think they even have a ton of flavor. It's like hint of floral, but I'll use those for iced tea as well. Ooh, that shouldn't be there. So that's my herbalism adventuring so far. That was my first bit of foraging for the month, and it was very exciting. It felt like properly the spring summer season now that I can actually go and find food in the wild. So that was a lot of fun. Okay, and the rest of this video, actually, I probably should say I'm filming this on the last day of May, but it probably won't go up to like mid-June. So if it seems late for spruce tips by the time I'm posting this, that'll be why. So anyway, decks. So I've been trying to do, and not always succeeding, the Cozy Capsule collection by Cozy Core Craft and Hygge Tarot. And I got off to such a good start this month, such a good start. And then the wheels fell off a little bit, but we'll start with the good. So I started with 4 decks, as it turns out 3 tarot and 1 oracle, that all kind of, am I too zoomed out here? I don't know, maybe. All kind of actually talk to each other really nicely. So I used mostly the Herb Crafters and the Gentle Tarot, which are 2 of my all-time favorites, like ever in the history of tarot. This is it, actually, if I had to pick one deck for the rest of my life, it would be this Gentle Tarot in a tin, is what it would be, because look at that hermit. It's, I love it. So I've been using these because the theme was Blooming Hearts, which I didn't remember. I wrote it down, so I'm looking at my notes because I have a memory like a sieve. It's great. Also, there are kids running up and down the hall in my apartment, so if you can hear that, that's what the background noise mostly is at the moment. But these are, I don't know if it's surprising or unsurprising, or just surprising agnostic that these talk to each other really well, but they do. And I know the art styles are completely different, but actually the color palette is not so like incompatible. So that's been a lot of fun. And then, how am I gonna do this? I am not coordinated enough for this. Nope. Okay. Let's say this. So I made myself at one point in like a week, so it's a bit slapdash. But I made a Doctor Who tarot. The Tower card is maybe not the most blooming hearts, but there we are. And then I got this Abaton Keys, a Dream Healing Oracle deck by Patty Allen, which I've been using actually quite a lot this spring and really enjoying it. So, yeah, I don't have enough table space, so Herb Crafters is just gonna have to hang out over there. But yeah, I've been using these 4 decks as like a genuine capsule collection. And I've got this twice and this twice together in a row. So clearly I wasn't paying attention the first time or something. But yeah, like as a proper, actually, let's see if I can be still more coordinated, which is unlikely. Yeah, not really. Oh well. But as like an actual capsule collection where you can just take 2 or 3 in any sort of combination to make different arrangements, which was fun, and is the first time it was like properly capsule-y in the sense of like wardrobe capsule collections, you know, where you have like a handful of pieces that you can mix and match together to make different looks. So yeah, that's what I did this month with these ones. That I realize that's a promotional photo and not actually from the show, but it makes me laugh because really, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And then the wheels came off the bus because I went and got new things. And okay, so part of this capsule collection, I don't know if you call it a challenge or just a like a project or something for the year, because you know it's just a sort of, I don't know, set targets or something, is to have 1 study deck a month, and then buy 1 deck per month. Well, yeah, I failed on both counts. So it became a deck study month for me, which, as I said, I'll talk about in another video because I went to town on that. But then I got some decks. Okay, definitely out of table room now. So I got the Tarot of Persephone's Garden, which actually has been really lovely for my own garden. So I've done some readings about my garden so far this spring, and it's been really beautiful, and about myself in relation to the garden, and the death of plants in the garden and that sort of thing. And it's so good, and it's so beautiful, and it's so my art style. And I think it's the first found art deck I've ever gotten, because I really like Waterhouse, and he's one of the most featured painters in here, I think. I've got the Lady of Shalott on my kitchen wall, which I love, and got because of Anne of Green Gables and Tennyson's poem, if you've seen the original Anne series. So, you know, much thanks to Anne Shirley for that particular rabbit hole. But anyway, the point is, I've seen found out decks before where the art is, of course, beautiful. Like, that's just stunningly beautiful art. But I've never gotten one before, I don't think, because it just never felt like it matched the tarot for me personally, and like to suit something that I would use it for. So yeah, but this feels so thoughtful and well designed, and I love it. It is very female centric, which, I mean, Tarot of Persephone's Garden. To look up what that painting is. She does have the PDF guidebook, which has a couple lines about each like what each painting is and why it's that card. So I've only read a handful of those. I haven't actually. I should just read through it. It wouldn't take very long. So that's very nice. I appreciate that, because one of the first questions, of course, is what painting is this? What painting is this? And so she's got all of those in the PDF. But yeah, it's okay. I'll stop flipping through it, just looking at all the beautiful paintings. There, we can stop on Justice. She's lovely. And then I got the Maria Tarot, which I'm probably pronouncing incorrectly, but I don't speak Italian, and it's the Italian word for tide. And oh, the guidebook's not in here because deck study. But anyway, so it's very strongly Thoth-based. It's basically a Thoth clone, but with more emotion. I feel, at least I connect more emotionally with this deck than I do with the original Thoth. But it is very Thothy, so I've been re-listening to the Fortune's Wheelhouse podcast, which is astonishing work. I mean, they really knocked that one out of the park. But then I couldn't wait to use this, so I've had my studied RWS and Thoth decks out, which I've never actually used to read with because I don't like the artwork in either of them, with apologies to the artists. I've just never connected to them or had any interest in using them. So they've been my study decks, but then I really wanted to use this because it's just so beautiful. And I loved it immediately. And it's not cheap to get in Canada because it ships from Europe. And there's import fees. So it's an investment, but it's beautiful. I think there are about 3 different lovers cards as well, which is fun. And so yeah, I've been using this actually quite a lot. It's the most I've ever used a Thothy sort of deck, because I've really only studied them before and then used them a tiny bit. Like I've used the Terra Avatara a little bit, and that's Thoth inspired. And I've used the New Era, or what's it called? New Era Elements Tarot, I think, which is a bit Thothy, a bit RWS sort of blend. But I've never really used, I've never drawn with a Thoth deck at all. So beautiful. But I started using this and just love it so much. She really did an incredible job on this one. I love her work. And I'll have to follow her. I do follow her now on Instagram, because if she does anything else, I will have to keep an eye out, because I really, as Thoth decks go, this is amazing. So I will stop rambling about that now. And then the last one I've used this month, and these were all used sort of individually. I didn't pair anything for any reason. I just didn't. Was the Witch Sisters Tarot, because so for the last 2 months, for April and May, it was the Lisa Pepez's members deck study. So I didn't watch the video because I'm not part of, I can't remember which tier you have to be in to watch those, but she posts the prompts for everybody. So I did those, and I don't post on Facebook because I log on to Facebook like twice a year or something. It's really a little bit ridiculous. Like, I just never use it. But this deck I loved from the second I saw it, and got it immediately when it came out, which I almost never do. I always wait to see more of what people think of it and all that. But no, this one pre-ordered, and it's brilliant. I love it. I love all the older faces in it. But one of the things that was a bit difficult when I first got it is just all the portraiture, because it is just a lot of faces. I mean, beautiful faces with other bits connecting, and a lot of emotion. But yeah, maybe not for beginners. I don't know. It might be a bit tricky if you're not, not used to tarot. But I knew that it didn't always quite go exactly, like align exactly with the RWS. So I read the guidebook a couple of times, and that was very helpful. It's a really good guidebook. It's got a lot of the myths and folklore and stuff. And that's a bit brutal. And so that was really informative. And then all this sort of deck study work next to it that I did was really helpful. So it's become a sort of spirit flight, hedge walking, connecting with my Celtic ancestry, Scottish and Irish, even though it's mostly specifically Scottish. It's just so beautiful. I love it. And some of the animals I had to get to know a little bit, so it was good to read a bit more in the guidebook, because not all of the plants and animals are in Canada. Okay, let's end with her. 10 of stones. 10 of, what is stones? Earth, I think. So that was my capsule collection with a detour. Scenic route. But anyway, that was fun. And I'll link the creators of the capsule collection down below if you want to go watch there. The last couple of months they've done a video with another tarot person, which is super fun, and then shared what they plan to use that month in a sort of capsule-y way. Anyway, that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.